I will do what I usually do every time I offer program. I take some brief but powerful quotations of Sri Brahmananda, because he was not too interested in our theoretical knowledge. He thought it was good to wipe away our wrong education, the knowledge that hadn't really helped us and that often was in the way. So to have theoretical knowledge or scientific knowledge, that was a step up for us. But really what he wanted us to have was practical knowledge that could be applied instantly in our daily lives. Otherwise, he always went, what's the use? You fill your head with a lot of nonsense that you don't use. You know, some of you have been to college. How much of what you learned in college are you using? I don't think very much, because I went to college and I remember my friends, but I don't remember the courses too well. Only what was practical, what I needed in order to do my work well. Well, listen to what Guruji would consider practical. He's reminding us in this quotation, there are 4, about what our primal duty is. What is our most important duty in life? He says, the prime duty of the seeker is to practice thinking in a right way. The choice that is given to us is not between some kind of thinking and no thinking. It's always between good thinking and bad thinking. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, not always easy to tell what is good thinking, what is bad thinking. Yes, it is. Actually, it is. If we had all the time in the world tonight, usually we have a little longer, but there's a wonderful concert coming up at 8:30, so I can't get into the dialogues with you that I like to. So I'll fill in the answers. Some of you like that much better. You'll know this as soon as I say it. If your mind and my mind, if our minds are full of good thoughts, how do you feel? How do you look when you look in the mirror? See, everybody knows good. Some of the children, you knew that, right? If you're having good thoughts about your friends, don't you feel good? Yeah. But what happens when you're having really nasty, bad thoughts? You go look in the mirror, you'll scare yourself. I'm only joking. You never have bad thoughts about anybody, do you? No. The little one is very quiet, though. Her big sister immediately learned and said, no, not at all, and she doesn't either. But once in a while, I think once in a while, a bad thought slips in, doesn't realize it's you, tried to get into someone else, but found you. It's there, and when we're thinking in a bad way, it's surprising that the old aches and pains that hadn't been bothering you crop up again. The old tension in the temples crops up again. We get that signal right away that something is wrong with our thinking. So, our Guru is reminding us that if you've been trying to stop all thinking, you should give up on that. That will never happen. The mind's job is to think, and the only time it goes into remission in its thinking is when we're in deep sleep. Even in dream sleep, the mind is still active, producing the images. So Guruji is saying, simply be alert to the fact that we have to see as one of our primal duties, if we wish to be free, if we wish to be happy, if we wish to be able to live in a compassionate, loving way, we have that choice. whether we will allow bad thinking to go on, or whether we will move to, as long as the mind is thinking, move it to a realm where the thinking is good. And Gurdjieff used to say, it's easy when you think of a way to help somebody. It doesn't have to be a big plan, but think of somebody you know who could use a phone call or a little gift or just good thoughts. And that keeps the mind very busy in good thinking. As long as dualism exists, the enjoyment of life is imperfect. Dualism meaning seeing others as separate from ourselves, or living in the world of multiplicity without being aware that you are one soul, one consciousness, enjoying this world of multiplicity. As long as dualism exists, the state of two, then the enjoyment of life is imperfect, because the journey of perfection and self-realization begins with love and ends with love. He's not talking about the love that most of us know on the relative plane, but he's saying, I'll ask, how is it that the journey of our perfection and self-realization begins with love? What makes him say that? And is it true that the first step of our journey begins, let's say, in the state of love? What is the journey? Is it an outer journey? No. If it's not outer, it has to be inner. It's an inner journey. But in order to go within, we're being told by this great teacher, we have to be in a state of love, or a state of non-dualism, because that's the only time our mind is quiet, clear and pure enough to make that journey. You try to go inward, carrying along with you all the memories of the past, all the worries about the future. That journey will stop short with a pain in the chest. Somebody was telling in the afternoon program today that sometimes when he's meditating, he's blocked by this pain in his chest. What is that pain? The pain is the past. And in order to be free of the past, we have to return to our pristine nature, which is the state of love. And that state of love is love for all, not love for my particular constellation of friends. You feel it in a different way when you just feel a compassion for everybody, knowing that everybody is doing the best they can do according to their conditioning. We have to keep that in mind, that we had the same conditioning and the same genes as everybody else, we would be behaving just as badly as those people. It's a combination of our genes, our environment, the circumstances of our life, all seemingly random. And that's where the compassion comes. From which place the compassion comes. Because you realize if not for some good luck and good genes and happy circumstances and grace, you'd be in the same sorry condition that the person you dislike is in. How many of you understand that point? Raise your hand. Good. That means the next time you see that person you dislike, you'll smile, as Gurdjieff would say, with 52 teeth. It didn't help to tell Gurdjieff we didn't have 52 teeth. He said, if you smile at the people you don't like, it will feel as though you have 52 teeth. The smile will be so broad. It shouldn't come from make-believe, but it should come from the understanding that I learned when I worked in a clinic that people are doing the best they can do under the circumstances. So forget what troubled you as fast as you can. Because when you forget in that way, the forgiveness is part of that. You don't have to work at forgiving. This is not my wisdom. I'm just saying what we learned sitting at the feet of Sri Brahmananda and reading the works of the great masters to whom we were introduced in this ashram. An unhappy and restless mind cannot concentrate. Make every possible effort to make your mind happy and peaceful. The standard of admission in yoga is a peaceful and happy mind. All the money in the world won't allow you to cross that road into the world of yoga. Even the best training in the world won't allow you to really be a yogi until you have learned to empty the mind of any thinking that is blocking or covering your natural purity and natural light. That's all. It sounds like a tall order. Believe it or not, you can do it now. Now, why not now? Now's the best time to drop anything that was bothering you, knowing it will work out somehow. It always does. You look back at some of the things that you thought were going to completely, still remembering their names. Please come to see me later. I'll give you a private lesson in how to forget all about them. I wasn't serious about that. I don't want you to mob me later, but I think you understand. And Gurji is making this so simple. He was a great scholar, but I know he would always want me to pick out those statements that he made, which will quickly release you from the bonds that we create for ourselves. This is practical advice that we can apply instantly. He's telling you, right from the beginning, we have to return to our natural state of love. We begin the journey with love and it ends with love, meaning a egoless, desireless mind, which is the mind of love or the state of love. And in this one he says, don't feel you need these disciplines the rest of your life in order to call yourself a yogini. There are people, or a yogi, there are people whom I know who have never heard of yoga, and yet they're pure yogis in the service they give, in their way of thinking, in their compassionate nature regarding those who are suffering throughout the world. They don't know what yoga is, but they are living yoga. They are real yogis. And once we are able to view whatever's going on in the world with a peaceful heart, a serene heart, feeling compassion, yes, but with the recognition that this whole universe is moving by means of that law of cause and effect and is perfect in its movement. Once you know that and have felt that, you never need to be afraid again. You never need to be contracted again. The real self is, I hope I say this right, is Achyuta, the undivided present, where categories of past, present, and future are transcended. That is our real self, the undivided present, where categories of past, present, and future are transcended. It is pure duration and eternity, which has no otherness and no divisions. The real self is the undivided present. That's where we find our real self. We don't have to go on long journeys. We don't have to even travel to India, although it's very inspiring to travel to India. I've done that and came back enriched by it. But you don't have to go to India. It can happen in the undivided present, where there's no India, no United States, no Europe, no change. I just spoke to Rup Vermaji. who's just back from Europe. And he's smiling that radiant smile. It's true he's a little bit in jet lag. He told me that. Just came back. But even when he's not in jet lag, he smiles that radiant smile at me. And he said, I'm just back from Europe. And I said, oh, where were you in Europe? And I could see for a moment he wasn't sure, because he's here now. And he had to really work to find separate countries where he had played his music. Because when Rup Vermaji is playing his music, he's in the undivided present. It's not necessary for him to know what country he's in. Am I right, Rup? I think so. I'm always right. You're always right, he says. But I feel I'm right about this. Oh, this is why we love him and give him such a comfortable seat. Because he says the sweetest thing. But I happen to know, because we're the last ones to know what changes we've gone through. I know Rupji since he was very, very young. I'm here almost 50 years. So in these teachings and with Guruji and the ashram. So I remember you, very young man, Rupji. Some things happened to Rup because he's a cosmic man now. He's like our moving ashram that we're happy to send all over the world, because he brings peace and he brings that special radiance that Ananda is known for. So I'm not going to question you anymore, because in this matter, I am right. You should applaud, isn't it true? Those who know Rupji, is it true? This ashram was founded by Sri Brahmananda for the purpose of transformation of the individual. And Rupji's been here also a very long time. And I would say that Guruji would be very pleased, Rupji. Very pleased. With you, with your children, with Tracy. Family, that's a role model for us. The real self is the undivided present, where categories of past, present, and future are transcended. Pure duration, pure eternity, which has no otherness and no divisions. And this is the reason I chose that to end with, of Guruji's statements. This is the highest statement that can be made. This is the one that once it's tasted, once that fragrance reaches us, that there are no others. They're just extensions of ourselves, everybody in this room. Once we make it our habit, our knack, to stay in this ever-present here now, that becomes abundantly clear to us. There's no difference between anyone in this room, just levels of preparation, that's all. Wherever somebody is a little behind us, we were there at one time. If we're a little ahead, we still have to move ahead where others have been established in the state of meditation longer than we have. But we're on the same journey. When we go inward and we reach that origin of beingness, the state of love, there's no difference between anybody here with anybody else who's in that same state. So that's the reason why Buddha's path was called the path of compassion. We need to have compassion for those who are suffering because they just don't know that they are already perfect, already enlightened. If we know that a little bit, then our compassion should come easily, because we remember how we were before we had a sense of that. that we're already enlightened. We're already perfect. We just have to have that revealed through the removal of the veils of conditioning. I don't think I could say that again, so please don't ask me to repeat that. The main lesson in Yoga Vedanta is that we have to be, as much as possible, in the state of oneness, the state of I amness, where we don't see any distinctions, any sense of right or wrong, good or bad, pure or impure. We just see it all as a tapestry of life that we have to learn to appreciate, in that tapestry has every color in it. We need a world of many different colors, many different contrasts, in order for it to be beautiful. So the good and the bad, and the pure and the impure, there's a place for all of that in each one's life. As long as in the beginning we start in love, and as long as we end in love, that's all that matters. I wish I could ask, well, maybe I shouldn't, let me see. Have no time to ask. But if you have any question, does anyone have a question that won't wait? That needs answering before next lifetime? Because I'll have time next lifetime. Anybody have a question that I can answer quickly? Maybe? In the back? Call out. About money. You wait, you think money comes from us?
No, it helps a lot. It helps because then you have time. If you don't have time,
Is that why I don't have time? I need money? Somebody bring money. Not exactly true. That may be true for some people, but there are other people who will tell you they were much happier, much quieter before they made a lot of money. Having that money causes more restlessness because the ego steps in and tells you what to do with the money, and it's always bad advice. How do we know this? It's a fact. They did a study of the lottery winners, and there's nobody happy among them. That's the truth. Their lives became quite miserable when they became extraordinarily wealthy. If you're like Warren Buffett, is that his name? The reason he's happy with a lot of money is that he's working daily to give it away. You keep money, this is Gurdjieff's advice. It's good to have money, it's one of the 4 legs of the table for the balance in one's life. It's good to have money. You need money to pay your rent, to do some traveling, to have food on the table, to help others. But he said very emphatically, never hoard a great deal of money, because it will affect your health, it will affect your mental well-being, and it will affect your relationships in the world. That begins greed. The result of hoarding, or hoarding the result of greed, begins to show on your face. If you travel to some of the villages in India, you see the contrast between the faces of the people in Delhi and Mumbai with the faces of the people who are so poor in the villages. They're poor, they're working hard, they're taking care of the land or whatever they need, but they're happy. It's a very great experience to see the contrast as you move around. And the happiest people are the people, the residents of the ashrams, who are usually, some of them, the ones who are most happy, the artists or the musicians. I shouldn't call them the artists, but the ones who are playing the temple music. I heard that joyous sound, and it had to be teenagers with that much energy and that much power and that much joy. And I walked in to find 5 men, not one of whom was under the age of 85. They had long white beards and no fat on them, and their eyes were glowing with joy and ecstasy, and they had rhythm. I tell you, they were extraordinary. They made you happy just listening to them, and when you saw their age and how they were really ageless, you knew that energy was coming from some divine place, a place of grace. Those are the sights in India that transform you. Not, viewing it in a cultural way, but a moment like that moved you instantly into your own ecstasy. You were thrilled to find time disappeared because of you've been there, these elderly yogis. You can't even call them elderly, they're ancient yogis. They really look about 2,000 years old. Honestly. I never forgot them. All right, let's get to this juicy reading. I hope that answered the question. For some people, if money is used wisely and you don't hoard it, it does allow you to have extra time. But understand, if money is being withheld from us, it's nature's planning. There's a reason for that also. It may be, if it's being withheld, that we're not ready yet for a great deal of money. Anybody agree with that? Raise your hand. See, the young ones are saying that. I don't know if the older ones were saying, yeah, but how long? How long? I'll ask you that next time. So take a deep breath. And now as you breathe out, release all the language, all the words. This will only be 60 seconds. So feel yourself letting go and opening up to this now. Feeling it, perceiving it, imbibing it. Sometimes it only takes 1 minute to reconnect with your real life, your real home. I am that I am. That is our home. Krishna Devi, would you lead us in our traditional prayer? Japita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhus Chasaka Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Shanti 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 Thank you, Krishna Devi. And if some of you are feeling very high, that you may need a designated driver, take 2 cookies. Chocolate chip is a great way to come back to earth.